My name is Lauren Knighty. I was a victim of abuse and violence. I know what Michael Marraccini has been accused of. I also know who his accuser is. I believe Michael Marraccini, and I am not the only one.
My name is Schnitzel Ninja, and I am a survivor of domestic violence. I support Mike Marraccini.
We are not afraid to call it like we see it. When a woman abuses a social justice movement and twists the system to try to hurt others.
Zoom in as much as you want. You can get the name of the...
Wait, that has a lot number on it. Can you zoom in again? Is there any way to see, is the number on the bottom there where it says lot number, is it the same in the other photo? Following the recent hearing in the Clayton Echard-Laura Owens paternity scandal case, the court ruled heavily in Clayton Echard's favor. Since then, rather than accepting the consequences of her actions, Laura and her counsel have launched a series of character attacks across social media posts and angry blogs, slandering the judge, Clayton Echard, Greg Woodnick, Deandra Arena, and Laura's other alleged former victims, including a bit of disparagement towards Greg Gillespie, following the pattern of completely random and baseless allegations used to defame him. In my opinion, the most disturbing part of her recent attacks is that Laura has tried to exploit the experiences of women who were failed by the justice system and women who have been victims of abuse in order to target Michael Marraccini, her alleged second of at least 4 victims. Let's look at some examples of how Laura has recently tried to manipulate and exploit women's rights issues, trying to guilt people out of speaking up for her victims. And I'm just talking about recently. We won't even get into the past, but if you haven't seen it, I encourage everyone to listen to Megan Fox's interview with Michael Marraccini and hear what he had to say. Let me be clear. What I'm about to say, and the voices I'm going to share with you, are not coming from some old boys club. We are women who have actually experienced the awful things Laura Owens has allegedly fabricated and exploited in order to emotionally terrorize her victims. Yes, we want to believe women who make claims of sexual assault and other abuse, but here's just a small part of a much larger picture explaining why we don't believe this one. This is part of one of Laura's recent Medium posts slandering Judge Mata. In Laura Owens' case against Clayton Echard, the judge found that Laura had a similar, if not identical, pattern of behavior and court involvement with all the men that she's accused in the past. And as far as we know, there were at least 3 before Clayton Echard. And Judge Mata referred Laura Owens to the Maricopa County Attorney's Office, meaning she may now face criminal charges. Let's not forget that when we're reading Laura's words. Per Laura, this ruling sends a terrifying message. Any woman who files a paternity case can be prosecuted if she has a miscarriage, attempts to drop the legal proceedings, and the court arbitrarily decides not to believe she was pregnant in the first place, regardless of the evidence, even though Arizona law has no prerequisites for filing for a paternity case. I had more proof of pregnancy than many other women who file these, with multiple positive tests taken at medical facilities and acknowledged by Judge Mata herself. What Judge Mata also acknowledged was that there was a record sent by Laura Owens to Michael Marraccini, confirmed by a forensic expert to have come from Laura, stating that Laura had ovarian cancer and had to have an ovary removed. But Laura Owens never had ovarian cancer. She now admits that. She claimed they weren't her documents, that she never claimed to have cancer, but as I said, a forensic expert has confirmed that she did. Laura Owens faked cancer to Michael Marraccini. That's why we don't believe her. And she fails to mention that in her idea of a mountain of evidence, she faked medical documentation. She used a fraudulent sonogram, a fraudulent ultrasound. She admitted to doctoring an HCG test and sending it to a content creator. Now, Laura Owens and David Gingras, her attorney, were aware that Michael Marraccini was under subpoena to testify in court. They willfully ignored that fact. The judge approved him as a witness, and he was under a valid subpoena. Ignoring that fact because you don't like it doesn't change the truth, and yet they called to try to have Michael Marraccini arrested anyways. She claimed to be so afraid of him, yet she chose not to exercise a rule that would allow her to have him moved out of the courtroom until his testimony. Everything written in this paragraph about Mike Marraccini coming to testify and his valid subpoena is a blatant omission of the truth. But here she is trying to use the Violence Against Women Act to terrorize an innocent man who is only following a court order. To be clear, I believe she cites the Violence Against Women Act there to try to scare women into taking her side. Friday night's Medium post was a complete attack on and insult to Michael Marraccini. This manifesto omits crucial information. It's full of half-truths, and it contains nothing valid to give her any credibility. When Laura Owens posts screenshots as evidence, it doesn't mean anything, because she has doctored medical evidence. And we know that she knows how to doctor a screenshot. You cannot trust anything this woman posts directly from herself. Laura Owens posted photos in here that she alleges is showing her after Michael Marraccini was physically abusive towards her. Problem was in the metadata. You see that picture was actually part of a series of photos that she took from a hospitalization that actually happened in a much different context and much, much earlier than she alleges.
In her TEDx talk, she pulls this photo or a similar photo up and says, I was posting these wonderful photos of Iceland, but I was really in a hospital bed because we had a particularly bad evening. IV fluids going into her veins.
Mm-hmm.
She's got the blood pressure cuff on. She's got this particular brand of gown on in this location with her hair splayed out in this one way. The problem with this image is it says that it's from March 1st, 2017. We have photos that say they're from 2016, August 1st. This photo and the one that we have, the numbering scheme for photos with iPhones, it starts at image 0001 and then increments from there. But this photo says it was taken 8/1/2016.
Mm-hmm.
It's got the front-facing camera has these particular resolution pieces of it. You got iPhone 6, aperture is 2.2, and you look at the blog, front-facing camera, f-aperture 2.2, same, basically everything. This photo was taken in a line of photos where she's trying to get the right look.
Okay.
The interesting thing is the photo that I just showed you was the one after this photo was taken.
These were taken, obviously, like you said, in a string of photos, like around on the same date.
Yep.
And now we have a different date on one of them.
On this one, particularly.
Okay, the one that she's posting. Yeah.
But you look at the file name. This one is 7538. This one says 7537.
537. Yeah. Can you explain we're 5 and say what's going on here?
It says here March 1st at 9:30 in the morning, but no, that's not it.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, the date on this image changed.
Okay.
You don't get similarities to the point where the gown, the blanket, the IV equipment, the blood pressure cuff, near identical, the hair pattern, near identical, including the swoop here and the strand that comes down there. You don't get that level of detail twice in the same. You just can't do it. You can't stage it like that. This is the full resolution picture. You can zoom in as much as you want. You can get the name of the...
Wait, that has a lot number on it. Can you zoom in again? Is there any way to see, is the number on the bottom there where it says lot number, is it the same in the other photo?
To my unadulterated eyes, it looks like a P15B, and that looks like a P15B going up the side.
So what are the odds that she has the exact same tag? Aside from what I believe to be an intentionally misleading photo used to lie and say that Michael Marraccini abused her when he did not, Laura Owens relies on the vague account of a stranger who was commenting on relationship dynamics she was not familiar with involving people she knows nothing about. Any random stranger could hear the reaction of somebody trying to get somebody who is emotionally terrorizing them to stop and assume that that person was being mean. No, they were just trying to protect themselves in their space. It is my belief that Michael Marraccini, Clayton Echard, and Greg Gillespie were never physically violent towards Laura. They were never abusive in any way. My name is Lauren Knighty. I was a victim of abuse and violence. I know what Michael Marraccini has been accused of. I also know who his accuser is. I believe Michael Marraccini, and I am not the only one.
I am a domestic violence survivor, and I believe Michael Marraccini.
I am a victim of domestic violence, and I believe Mike Marraccini.
I am a child sexual abuse survivor, and I stand with Michael Marraccini.
I escaped a 10-year-long physically and emotionally abusive marriage. I believe Mike Marraccini.
I am a survivor of abuse, and I believe Mike Marraccini.
I'm a survivor of intimate partner violence in the form of emotional, verbal, and physical abuse. I believe and stand with Mike Marraccini.
As a woman who is a survivor of sexual abuse as well as domestic violence, I was disappointed in what the system did. Don't let her get away with this anymore.
I know what it's like to be gaslit, to be manipulated, to have it seep into the other areas of your life and take away the experiences you should have been able to have. I know what it's like to have a loved one fake cancer. I believe Mike Marraccini.
I felt completely connected to Mike Marraccini as a survivor of domestic abuse. For some reason, we believe that we are responsible for their well-being.
I am a survivor of abuse. I believe Mike Marraccini, I believe Clayton Eckerd, and I believe Greg Gillespie.
I'm a survivor of domestic abuse, and I believe Mike Marraccini.
I am a survivor of abuse, and I absolutely believe in the innocence of Mike Marraccini. And I'm so sorry that he is going through this.
I am a physical and verbal abuse survivor. I believe Mike Marraccini.
I am a survivor, and I believe Mike Marraccini.
I am also a survivor of domestic violence, and Mike Marraccini, I believe you. None of this is your fault, and nothing that you did ever made you deserve this. You're not alone, and we support you. You are seen, you are heard, and understood.
I know what it's like to be lied to and abused in a way that's so emotionally crippling and exhausting, and then to have that person turn around and say the abuser was you. I won't stand by and say nothing while this woman continues to terrorize her victim years after he finally escaped her. None of us will.
I am a domestic violence survivor, and I believe Michael Marraccini.
I'm a survivor of abuse, and I believe and support Mike Marraccini.
I was a Mike Marraccini. Too nice, too forgiving, and too understanding. I don't want to have sex with you, I said to him. My 10th no wasn't enough, and neither was my last stop. Throwing me on the floor meant nothing to him. I was called a bitch, whore, and nothing without him. My name is Schnitzel Ninja, and I am a survivor of domestic violence. I support Mike Marraccini.
As women who have faced abuse in our lives, we want justice for victims and for those who are wrongly accused. We will not allow our experience to be exploited to hurt someone else. I believe Mike Marraccini, Clayton Eckerd, and Greg Gillespie. We are not afraid to call it like we see it. When a woman abuses a social justice movement and twists the system to try to hurt others.
I want to ask you, so you can get it off your chest here. Did you ever abuse or batter Laura Owens?
No, of course not. It's completely fabricated. Going back and rereading some of the text messages, I mean, I know that I suffered trauma, let's just say, from her because I blacked out so much of the messages. I mean, it was just constant conflict and chaos. Laura kept wanting me to say that I loved her and that I trusted her and that I moved past what had just happened. And I mean, like 2 weeks before, she had told me that she'd faked the pregnancies and happily married. I have a child. I tried to just put it past me. And for years, though, I suffered, why somebody would try to do this to me, because I always thought being kind at the end of the day would set you apart. Like, she's never provided a piece of evidence that I actually hurt her. There's never a text message. There's never an email. There's never a photo. There's nothing. It's been challenging, and I still feel immense shame, but I feel the best I've ever felt. Every day it gets a little bit better.